Om. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Amrit Anubhav, chapter 3, Vacharna Parihara, and we are in verse number 21 or 22?
24, we need to start, Swamiji.
24.
We need to
Okay,
start.
24. So, we were looking at it says the nature of bondage caused by knowledge is of similar kind when the self-effulgent Atma declares that I am He. This is the Jnanam Bandhaha we were looking at, that's right. And that comes in the Shiva Sutras, that knowledge is bondage. And self, being self-knowing and self-existing, if a person declares here, as it says, that when the self-effulgent Atma declares that I am He, that I have realized, and it is still keeping it objective in nature, and that is where the Jnaneshwar Maharaj is taking us. He says the Atma is Jnana Swarupa, it is self-effulgent, it is sufficient in itself. When such a self-illumined Atma feels the need to proclaim its own existence and declares, Ha, I have realized that I am that, this knowledge is not true knowledge. Important word is that Atma is not against this proclamation or for this proclamation. But if the disposition of the seeker is that there is a need to say that I am that, and when I don't say, when I'm not convinced, are we in a disposition where when I say I am that, I am there, and when I don't say anything, I am not there, I am not that? When I am in satsang, then everything is clear. When I am outside satsang, then I am back into the bondage, I am back into the misery. Is it like that? So the realized master, whether that proclamation happens or does not happen, he is absolutely okay, because that proclamation is at the mind level. But if a person has to keep asserting that I am that, Nisargadatta Maharaj is, when he says I am that, it's from a different standpoint. Our few minutes in meditation is, oh, that was so wonderful. That means after coming out of one meditation, it is not wonderful. See, we are creating duality. The moment the self says, I am pure consciousness, it has already descended from its one without a second status of I the Supreme and has divided into I the knower and the knowledge the known. So there is bifurcation, just as one man has bifurcated into husband and son. Actually, he is one. All the problems are for the husband and the son, not for the man. Similarly, no problem for pure consciousness. But when that pure consciousness, because of self forgetfulness, because of whatever the reason, ignorance, expresses as the two, what is that two? The knower and the known, the experiencer and the experienced, the seer and the seen, the meditator and the meditated upon. When this duality begins, it as if becomes two. That is, has divided into the I, the knower, and the knowledge. From that moment onwards, the pure consciousness is made into an object of contemplation, is made into an object to be realized. In other words, that object called pure consciousness has been accepted to be separate from the I. Therefore, the seeking. And that is not true, because I is all inclusive. Yeah. I is all inclusive. I is all that there is. Can't even use all inclusive. If you want to use, okay. See, the problem that we create for ourselves, and therefore the individuality is born and is nurtured by this dichotomy with its concomitant illusory states of bondage and freedom. And what is the illusory stage of bondage? The husband feels he is bound by wife. The son feels he is bound to mother. The father feels the load of the children. This is bondage. Man has no bondage. And this husband, son, father, they are the ones who are miserable. But they don't exist. They don't exist. They are just imaginations. So just like you one day you decided, I am the father, I am the husband, I am the son. Now decide, I am not the son, I am not the father, I am not the husband. Be the pure consciousness. The day we stop taking the roles as real, that day the self will reveal itself. That moment the self will reveal itself. But for us, the roles are more important and the substratum is secondary. Because I can't see the substratum. I can see my children, I can see my body, I can see my car, I can see my house, and I can create association with it. I can touch, feel, taste, objectify. And because all these attributes are not there, all these qualities are not there for the self, therefore we give it a secondary status. Therefore, we are not serious about it or sincere about it. हाँ ठीक है, we should do it. Then why do we come to satsang and why do we give lectures again and again? क्योंकि दुनिया कर रही है इसलिए हम भी कर रहे हैं. And what happens after the satsang? Same. गोलगप्पे खाएंगे, चाट पापड़ी खाएंगे, we'll go to the beach for a swim. We have to be, accept. Self cannot be known. Then what about self-realization? There is nothing called self-realization. This self-realization is a virus only for the waker, for the seeker. Why do you say it is virus for the seeker and the waker? Because waker has accepted that he is in bondage. Therefore, the waker or the seeker is seeking liberation from the bondage. And what is the self? Where there is no bondage and no liberation. Just as from the sun's point of view there is no day and night, no sunrise and sunset, from self point of view there is nothing called bondage. Then if there is no bondage, then there is no liberation also. देखो मजा. Think, contemplate on this. When efforts are required to know that one is in bondage or that one is free, it is bondage alone. See, how many times do you think that you are the body? How many times during the day do you think, or in your life you have thought? You have just accepted without a thought. You think of the body only when, pay attention, you think of the body only when it is out of ease. Then you think of the body. How many times you have thought of your tongue? No. But when your tongue is bitten by the teeth, then you will think of the tongue. How many times you have think about your skin? Never. But if something pricks or there is a scratch or there is a eczema, then you will think of the skin. So whenever it comes out of its original state, then you think about that particular thing. So what is the original state? Pure consciousness. Then when you think of pure consciousness, when it is not in its, but pure consciousness is always in the original state. You have imagined that you are outside. Now you want to apply the same rule as regards the world or the body to pure consciousness. We cannot. But okay, if we want to use it, what is the disease state? Dis-ease, out of ease, state of pure consciousness? To express as two. What is that two? Knower and known, experiencer experienced. That is the disease. That is the bondage. And from that point of disposition, then you seek, I don't want to be a disease. Then what is to get out of disease? To liberate. I don't want to be in bondage. Then what do you want? I want liberation. Where is this idea of bondage? In the mind. Where is the idea of liberation? In the mind. How? By way of thoughts. And thoughts are changing, they are coming and going, so they cannot be the permanent, they cannot be the That cannot be your true nature. So wherever there is effort, understand that is not your natural state. And it is not, when we study Bhagavad Gita, there is Karma Yoga given, Karma Sannyas given, Bhakti, Dhyana Yoga is given, Purushottam Yoga is given, uh, Gunatita Yoga is given, Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga is given, so Moksha Sannyas Yoga is given, so many different yoga. Kundalini Yoga in Gita is not there, but Kundalini is there. Now we are in the process of this chapter where the Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para is given. And we get all this information because we have collected all this information. Now this knowledge has become a problem for us. Like a small child, if you give him too many things to play with, he doesn't know which one to play with. Or you are at a buffet and you got so many varieties of food on the table, you don't know which one to start with. And what happens as a result? You overeat and come back and then have all problems afterwards. Just because food is there doesn't mean we have to try every dish. Just because all the toys are there doesn't mean we have to play with every toy. That is our problem. Just because so many sadhanas are given doesn't mean that we have to practice all the sadhanas. When we say we have to practice sadhana, you are putting effort. Do you practice going to sleep? Do you do sadhana to go to sleep? Do you do practice to go to sleep, or it happens? Same way. It should be sahaj. It should be natural. It should be effortless. Now find out at any given moment what is that which is keeping you effortless. Oh, today I close my eyes, Om Namah Shivaya begins. Chant Om Namah Shivaya, it's coming effortlessly without your will. No, but my mantra is Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama. How can Om Namah Shivaya come? Papam. हो गया पंगा शुरू. Who can help? Scriptures also cannot help you after that. Because you have created your own misery. And you are seeking liberation from that misery. So stop creating misery for yourself. So now going through this chapter also, so this text also, we saw the Guru chapter, we saw the Shiva Shakti Samavesh, and we are reading Ishavasya Upanishad, studying Ishavasya Upanishad, Vivek Chudamani. So many things are told. Everything we don't have to. All we have to do is understand that nothing needs to be done. Till there is something to be done, efforts are being employed. And as long as efforts are employed, no, but what about efforts must lead to effortlessness? That was told to a person who was in KG, kindergarten. Because you don't understand the whole picture. We are like studying this words of realization of a master, Jnaneshwar Maharaj, and you are asking the question from primary school. Why? How come effort? How come I don't have to practice efforts? If this question is coming, then you are not qualified for meditation. then what should then there is no hope for me. Never hope for anything. If this is not understood, then pluck weeds from the garden, perform karma, do your duties, do puja, do whatever is required, purify. When purification happens, automatically what we just said will click. If it is not clicking and the mind is again and again like a stuck tape going back to, I have to do meditation, I have to do this, I have to do that, then do. Don't fight it. Do it. But don't forget the goal, purification. And what must purification, what is the expression of purification? Effortless existence, effortless disposition. Then you are at the right place at the right time with the right people in the right company in the right with the everywhere you are absolutely comfortable, content, at ease. Then nothing is a load. Thinking is not a load. Then bondage is not a load. Liberation is also not a load. Then effort is also a thought. Effortlessness is also a thought. It's only an idea. In self, all these effort and effortlessness are absent in the self. So question is, what are we seeking? Or what are we not seeking? What are we? Are we focused on efforts to effortlessness, which is at the body level, body, breath, mind, or manasa, vacha, kaya, efforts to effortlessness? Or are we available naturally to the self that we are? This is very important. Until unless we do not understand this, that jnanam bandhaha, that this knowledge, pure consciousness that is our nature, it is free of knowledge, bondage and liberation. Bondage and liberation are only at the mental level. And who we are is beyond, transcendental to bondage and liberation. Once this clicks, then whether you do the laya prakriya, which is Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para, whether you do Kundalini, whether you do Kriya Yoga, this must be clear. Because that is the equipment is only going to perform according to the data which is within. Equipment is going to continue performing or not performing. It is going to go through waking, dream and sleep. Self is not going through waking, dream and sleep. So what are the samskaras? I'm talking not from self point, I'm coming to down. Then whatever the samskaras are there, according to that the body will function. According to that the thoughts will come. Because at the equipment level something will always happen. But with that happening of coming and going at the equipment level, when we identify ourselves with that, then we also feel we are coming and going, we are born and we are going to die. We have to accept that we are that because of which the thoughts are. Not because I am that, therefore I am. No. that means I think, therefore I am. Totally opposite. Therefore, the knowledge that I am Sat Chit Ananda Swarup becomes only a heavy load of bondage and not freedom. So, if you have accepted and are of the nature of the self, then we don't have to prove it to anything. Don't have to prove anything in life. Then we don't need validation. I gave you this example, I think it was in this class last week. If you have eaten the food, do you need confirmation from another person? Hey, can you tell me if I am full? Stupid, isn't it? Same thing we do by going to Guru Maharaj. Swamiji, please tell us how much realized I am now. How much close I am. It's that foolish. Either you know or you don't know. And as long as you are thinking that you know, then you neither don't know and neither you know. You are in the middle. Trishanku. Dekho. You are the ghost then. Ghost is the individual. How is this a burden is the theme of the next OV. जे ज्ञान स्वये बुडे म्हणूनी भारी नावडे ज्ञाने मोक्ष घडे ते निमालेनी. He says, this knowledge of self which negates the ignorance is also a burden for the pure self. Therefore, real freedom is when even this knowledge is dropped to let the self-effulgent being shine forth. Just as, what is the Shakti of the sun? What is the Shakti or the expression of the sun is heat and light. Understand? It's inseparable from the sun. Similarly, what is the potential? That is its potentiality. What is the potentiality of the self? What is the potentiality of the self? The mind. And what are the rays? The thoughts. And just like because of the effulgence of the light, the brilliance of the light, remember, I think where in Upanishad we are doing, Ushanna, in Ishavasya Upanishad. So the seeker is requesting what? O Lord Sun, please remove this brilliance so that I can know the Purusha and merge into it. That was the prayer there, isn't it? That brilliance, that effulgence, the rays are the thoughts. Behind the thoughts is the Purusha. Now you will start saying, Ocha, I am getting thoughts and behind the thoughts is the Purusha. So I have to go behind the thoughts. Oh my God. But I am here. How can I go behind? We are experts at creating confusion for ourselves. We don't understand the the, what do you call, the moral.
Concept.
The self is not a concept. But yes, you can say it that way. What we have to learn when we say what is the moral of the story, what did we learn from the story which was 2-3 pages long? What was the moral of the story? So here, what is the moral of the story of studying Bhagavad Gita? What is the moral of the story of going through this text? Is it an idea? Is it a concept? Or is it that I am just being? See? The thought that I am a limited being is nullified by a counter thought that I am not a limited being. Thereafter, even this jnana vritti should be rejected. Now, it's taking a little bit from that. First, having told that knowledge itself is bondage, now the prakriya is being given. Prakriya means the process. Process is always in the equipment, in the not self, in the mind. And what is that? Now, before the vision was presented that who you are that who is beyond knowledge and liberation. So don't seek liberation. Be the liberated one, if I have to use that word. Be the one in whose presence these ideas of bondage and liberation come and go. For us, the liberation is deep sleep. No thoughts, no load, no body identification, no jiva, no ego. You are liberated. But when we get up in the morning, again we are bound. Bound by the body, bound by our thoughts, bound by our memories, bound by our expectations, bound by the possessions and relations. All bondage comes back. So are we going to, in meditation we go, we are free. Come out of meditation, again bondage. So are we going to keep shunting like this all our life? Oh, but they said abhyasena tu kaunteya, you must practice. Practice what? You want to keep practicing A for apple, B for boy? Are you going to keep practicing? I have to purify, I have to purify. When are we going to grow up? Because we don't grow up, we keep remaining in the cycle. Freedom of deep sleep, bondage of waking and dream. Freedom of deep sleep, bondage of waking and dream. Freedom of deep sleep, bondage of waking and dream. It's happening. Innumerable times it has happened. When are we going to shoot out of this? To recognize that I have got caught into a pattern. Pattern is always in the mind. Now we have replaced deep sleep with meditation, but still it is a pattern. So today's meditation talked about that the first step on the path of sadhana, spiritual, adhyatmic sadhana, spiritual sadhana is body disidentification. And the second step is dissolution of the jivahood, the individuality. And you cannot dissolve the jiva without being disidentified from the body. When we are trying to dissolve the jiva without being disidentified from the body, then what happens? Then meditation happens. Then meditation happens. Then we come out of meditation, again the world is there. The body is there. And we succumb to the environment. But if we approach dissolution, work towards dissolution of the jivahood or the individuality, having disidentified from the body, then it will not be jada meditation, it will not be jada samadhi. And this is where majority of the people get caught up. The thought that I am a limited being is nullified by a counter thought. So also in future we will see in this book, in this Amritanubhav, that the word, the sat is used for countering asat. Chit is used for countering achit. Ananda word is used for countering misery or bondage. The word, whatever the words for the Paramatma are used, Nitya is to counter Anitya. Similarly, liberation is used to counter bondage. So, I am a limited being and now I want to be, or with the counter thought that I am not a limited being. So this is the story going on. I am a limited being, I am not a limited being. Story means usage of words. But what is the moral of this story? Is beyond words. I am not a being is a sentence. But what does it signify? What it signifies is beyond that sentence, beyond those words. That will be the immoral. Then that is not a concept. So you stand corrected there. I am not a limited being is not a concept. That is my natural state. Not even my natural state. It is the natural state. Is the sahaja bhav. Thereafter, even this jnana vritti. What is the jnana vritti? First, the vritti. Vritti means thought. First, the thought was, I am bound. We replaced it with the thought, I am not bound, I am unlimited. And then, the jnana vritti, this thought knowledge, which we used to counteract the previous thought knowledge, which was limiting. And we only know that I am limited because of the symptoms, because of the effects of that statement. I am limited being means, I don't know, I was born, I don't know, and I will die, This is the effect. So from effect we are coming to this conclusion that I am limited, I think I am limited. And when we expose ourselves to the scriptures, we come to realize again through thoughts only. For example, jnanam bandhaha, that knowledge is bondage. So which means I must not succumb to thought knowledge. I must not get obsessed with thought knowledge. It means I am independent of thought knowledge, whether it is expressing or not expressing. And right now I am saying all this through words. So are you caught up in the words, or are you being what these words are indicating? That is not thought. That is not a concept. Concepts are always utilizing thoughts to express themselves. Self is not a thought. But self is not opposed to thought also. Remember this. Ishavasimidagam sarvam. The self is immanent in and through all thoughts. The water is immanent in and through all waves. But where is our attention? Our attention is not on the immanence of it. Our attention is on the name and form. And that's where the bondage is. So our attention is on bondage. B is a form, O is a form, N is a form, D is a form, G is a form, E is a form. The word bondage itself is beginning somewhere and ending somewhere. It's representing something. Caught up? So we have to give up this thought obsession, this thought fixation, that everything needs to be known through thoughts. No. We are of the nature of knowledge. Of the nature of knowledge. The self is knowledge. Chitta. Not chitta, sorry. Chit. Consciousness means knowledge. Existence, consciousness. I am. Do I need to say I am in order to be? No. I know I am. Do I need to repeat again and again? I know who I am. I know who I am. I know I am. But I am very close to myself in meditation. After studying the Upanishads, I am very clear about the self. Bhaiya, you have always been clear about the self. Then why are you studying scriptures? Because of your obsession to this thought knowledge, wrong dispositions. Now you have recognized what your problems were, what those dispositions were. You are removing that, which was corrupting your natural disposition. When does a wave appear in the ocean or in a pond? Only when something is thrown into it, isn't it? When some foreign material is introduced in calm waters, then the ripples come. And after some time, what happens? The ripples settle. So what is the foreign matter that has entered the calm waters of the consciousness? Objectivity. Objectivity. And objectivity is only through thoughts. thoughts are expressions of objectivity. So now take another example. If the water is shallow and there is a lake which is deep, on which one will the ripples will last longer? In the deep waters or in the shallow waters? If you throw a stone in the deep water, many times it just makes the sound bloop and goes, and hardly a slight ripple comes and again the water becomes calm because it is deep. Same way, if we are deeply abiding in the self as the self, then any foreign material coming, what is the foreign materials? Seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, thinking, past, future, they will, for realized masters also these things happen. But what happens with that? Because they are so deep in themselves, in their abidance, that foreign material is unable to create a ripple effect. In shallow waters, one wave will give rise to another, to the next one, to the next one. But in deep waters, one wave and it will die there only. One ripple, and before it can create another wave, it dies because of the depth of the water. Be that way. Then whatever the world is throwing, it will not create a ripple. This is the moral of I am an unlimited being. Work means be that. I can use the word work towards it, or be that. Thereafter, even this jnana vritti should be rejected. If not, this knowledge becomes a load, a burden. It hardens the individuality, leading to comparison, sense of achievement, arrogance, etc. Have we fallen into this trap? To validate that the satsang was very good, to validate that our meditation was very good, no validation required, no confirmation required from anyone. If you have eaten the food, you know you are content or not, you are full or not. And if you are uncomfortable, you have overeaten without digestion. That's what happens with satsang. We keep satsang after satsang after satsang, but no assimilation. Collecting information, but not being it. Then it becomes a load. Then you become a speaker like me. Why? Too much information. What to do? Chalo, thanko. Vomit it out. Can't stop till it doesn't stop. Collected information. Lost the moral of the story. It hardens the individuality, leading to comparisons. So this sattvic ahankar is a dangerous one. That, as I was giving the example in meditation, one person, he studied, last 8 months he is studying Vijnana Bhairav, 114 meditations. And in last 8-9 months, he practiced the 114 meditations from the end of the book and coming towards the front, as if that is an achievement. Arrogance. I did it from back to front. Next achievement. I have practiced every meditation in that Swamiji. Only 5 more are left. Then I read somewhere or heard somewhere that out of those 114 meditations, Mahatma Gautam Buddha practiced only one and attained Nirvana. And you have practiced 109 now. And only talking, I have finished this, I have finished that. You should be finished. Meaning individuality must be erased. What did I say? Spiritual sadhana is body disidentification first step, and second step dissolution of the individuality. That should be our goal when we are listening to satsang. Not as a total, no, every moment this should be our goal. Sense of achievement, sense of I have done 109 of them, 5 more left. Arrogance that I did it. Now I am very clear. He giving me a lecture. I did this, I did that, I practiced this, I practiced that. अच्छा भाई, great person. फिर ऐसे लोगों को क्या करना है? You pump them up a bit more till they burst. Pump them up. It's not for everyone there is a different what do you call solution. For someone it is love, for someone it is caring, for someone it is being a father, for someone it is being a brother, for someone it is a scolding at the right time, not just keep scolding for nothing. But for someone it is pump them up till the balloon bursts, the balloon of ego bursts. Therefore, having reached the stage of knowledge that one is not the limited being, that knowledge should also be dropped, for in the Absolute there is neither ignorance nor knowledge. And what will be your answer? Yeah, I know, I understood. No, you have to go beyond that. When you say I understood, I know, it is still at the thought level. We are not talking about thought knowledge. Through knowledge alone, liberation is attained. It's not a very difficult thing to understand, to process. You think of sleep. But is sleep is equal to thinking sleep? Is it? So you have to go beyond the thought of sleep to be absorbed and be one with sleep, isn't it? This is your daily experience. Then why is it so difficult to understand that thought of self is bondage? And I must go beyond the thought of self and be the self. Think. It's not that we are telling you something outside the ordinary. You have experience, as I gave you, of the sleep. Through knowledge alone, liberation is attained. Real freedom is discovered when one is able to transcend the knowledge, which is the dichotomy of aham idam vritti. We have seen that in many texts. Aham is the I thought, idam is the not I thought, and the play between this aham and idam is what is called as samsara. The knower, what can he know? That is other than the knower. Samsara begins. So woman is happy, but what is dichotomy? Aham idam. The woman is now expressing as mother, and the mother is attached to, mother is called a mother because of the children. So the play between mother and children, samsara begins. So if you want to put all these relationships into a nutshell, aham idam Leela. So call it Leela. Actually it is Leela, but we have taken it seriously. Therefore we are miserable. Thoughts appear only where this aham idam are expressing. When the ahanta, thisness and thatness of the objective known world is devalued, idamta. When the idamta, what is idamta? The thisness and thatness of the objective world, or of the objective. Objective is that which is other than us, that which is perceived by us, that which can be thought by us, that which can be conceptualized by us. That is objective. Known world is devalued. So all we have to do is devalue the world automatically. What is the diet of aham? Idam. If you devalue the idam, the I will automatically become lean. It will go on a weight loss program. It has become voluptuous because of continuous overeating of idam. Through understanding, devalue the idam. That is what we are doing when we come to satsang. Devaluing them not just by word. You have to understand. Then apply in life. Not to be disturbed by idam. Initially people, and when they say, oh, body is idam and it's giving me trouble, if your attention is on the body, then you will practice yoga. Oh, pranas are idam and they are troubling me, then you will practice pranayam. For some intelligent ones, instead of going through body, then breath, then this, then that, then I have to divorce and then I'll be woman, you don't have to do anything. In your mind you stop giving importance. Meaning stop reacting. Meaning stop thinking about it. Meaning stop wanting an association with that. If it comes, it's okay. If they go. So don't ask anyone to come, don't ask anyone to go. देखो, the known world is devalued, the mind withdraws into the subjective thought called aham vritti, and this withdrawal is what is happening when you are going to sleep. That's why we keep saying, if you remain aware at that last moment when the absorption is about to take place, You will be, it will click. But what is happening? Because of our obsession with objectivity, our obsession with wanting an experience, that is our predisposition. That predisposition of wanting an experience is keeping us in the realm of ignorance. So for us, freedom is not thinking about the world. Bondage is thinking about the world. So going to sleep every day. So naturally, the food for the aham vritti is, the aham vritti is not allowed to become fat on the diet of the objective world. How did you do that? Aham was made to think about sleep. So you replaced all other thoughts of the world which could make it fat, and you replaced it with the thought of sleep. But it was a countermeasure for the waking or the dream. Replace the sleep also, sleep thought also. And you are able to sleep only because I has become weakened. The aham vritti has become lean. Aham vritti has lost all its capacity, ability, the potential to hold on and own the world. And how does it own the world? By owning the body. So what happens when you are thinking of sleep? First, body disidentification happens. Then your body is lying in one particular position. You are unaware, but the mind is still racing, and slowly the world is, whatever the little bit of thoughts of the world are there, they are also dissolving by themselves because you are thinking of sleep. But what happens in sleep? The I is still, the ahankar is still maintained, but in an unmanifest state. And therefore, when the waking happens, the I says, Yahoo! I have been hungry for all night, nobody allowed me anything. Now let's devour the whole world again. Again, association with everything. Then gradually the aham vritti also dies away by atrophy because of the absence of idam vritti. How long can aham vritti, the thought of I, the I thought, how long can the I thought remain? Only as long as the some not I thought is there. And when the last not I thought goes away, that's when sleep begins. But if you remain aware, if you remain alert to that last bit, last moment, then what will happen? Find out. To bring that about, Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para, so that you don't fall into the trap of sleep. That's why you are asked in this particular chapter, after some time the exercise will be given. Chant loudly. So you are aware. Then gradually the aham vritti also dies away. When the aham vritti, the I thought, has got nothing to associate itself with. Remember, I thought was only because there was not I thought. So aham, idam, they coexist. Aham is there because of idam, idam is because of aham. Vritti. We are talking about vritti, thought. Aham without vritti is realization. Aham without thought, I without thought is your natural state. So when this I thought has got no association with any not I thought, then that thought aspect of the I also drops away. And then what remains? What remains behind is the self. What remains behind is the pure consciousness. What remains behind is the I. Without a thought. And that is realization. That is your natural state. Then gradually the aham vritti also dies away by atrophy because of the absence of idam vritti. In the annihilation of the aham vritti, pure consciousness alone remains. That is real knowledge, real freedom. Freedom is not which is gained by running away from bondage. No, real freedom is which is transcendental to the idea of bondage and freedom. This is real freedom. Atrophy means, here the word atrophy is used. Atrophy means when a particular faculty is not used for a long time, then you are unable to use it. For example, if someone has not used the pen for a long time and you go and hold a pen and start writing, some funny letters will be written on the paper. If you keep your hand up for a long time, like some yogis in Kumbh Mela were there, now they can't bring their hand down. Is that correct understanding of atrophy, Amma?
Ha, Swamiji, it is because of misuse or disuse, the effect is lost and shrinks.
So, will it be correct? RSI and all is a beginning of atrophy?
I wouldn't say that, Swamiji. No? It is different.
It is different? Why? Misuse?
With the repetitive stress injury, RSI, because of the pain, the muscle is not getting used.
So same thing, no? If I is not allowed to associate with anything, then I is getting weak.
Swamiji.
So same thing. Understand the idea that we are presenting. So it's atrophy only, and it will lead to further complications.
Yes, Swamiji.
So when we do meditation or what sadhana, when we sit in meditation, if the approach is correct, if the goal is clear, we are not obsessed and excited and in ecstasy because of meditation, but we are approaching meditation with this disposition that I must become, and what is happening in meditation, I is not allowed to associate with not I. Therefore you go into samadhi, isn't it? But then why do you come out of samadhi? Why don't you realize? Only because body disidentification has not happened. Only because of that reason. So work towards it. Continue your meditation, but work towards body disidentification. And where you have to work towards body deciding, body deciding in your understanding. That's all. As if you do any exercise to become disidentified from the body when you go to sleep. You don't do any exercise. You don't do any yoga. You don't do any pranayam. You don't sit in meditation to be body to go to sleep or in a particular pose. You lie down. That's all. This is real knowledge. This is true freedom. What's the time? Thus, the four speeches, the limbs of ignorance also disappear. So, when we come to this point where the thought aspect of the I also dissolves away, we have gone beyond Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, and even Para. Para means meditation, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. We are going beyond it. When the four limbs of thus the four speeches, the limbs of ignorance also disappear when the individuality is destroyed. If individuality is, some remnant of individuality is still there, that is why we are coming out of the meditation and still considering ourselves to be who we are as a person. That's why in meditation we are free. Out of meditation we are in bondage. Mahatmas, whether they are in meditation or they are in the world, they are ever free. In deep sleep we are not carrying any load. In waking we are carrying the load of relationships and possessions. In deep sleep we are free. That's temporary. Manauni paradika vacha to shringar chau angacha evam avidya jivacha jivatvatyagi. Therefore, the four types of speeches are the ornamentation of ignorance and manifest as being a bondage in accepting to be a jiva or freedom in its readiness to drop the idea of jivahood. So, be very clear. Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, Para are expressions of ignorance, are effects of ignorance, are in the realm of ignorance, and it has got nothing to do with the self. So, why are these four given? For the jiva who wants to come to know his real nature. It's a prakriya. It's a lay prakriya. Well, lay prakriya is step by step, where you dissolve the gross to reach the subtle, then you dissolve the subtle to reach the causal, you dissolve the causal to go to the transcendental. Therefore, the four types of speeches such as Para, Pashyanti, etc. are the ornaments of avidya. The source of four speeches. So, what is the source of four speeches? Ignorance. So, don't be too obsessed with it. But come to the conclusion of the our attention must be on the conclusion of the four speeches. That I must get there. And what is the conclusion? Going beyond the four speeches is the conclusion. Transcending the four speeches is the conclusion. They adorn the four bodies through which the jiva functions. So what are the four bodies that the jiva functions? Gross body, subtle body, causal body, and Turiya Tattva. The first is the gross body, of which the Vaikhari Vani is the ornament. I already mentioned that. the subtle body of which the Madhyama Vani is the ornament, the causal body of which the Pashyanti Vani is the ornament, and the Turiya Tattva of which the Paravani is the ornament. The four, what is that? The four Shringaras, meaning the ornaments, can also be taken to include the Antahkarana, Panchakam, Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, and the consciousness is beyond Paravani. So either you take the four states, whether you take it as Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti and Turiya Tattva, or you take it as Sthula Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, Karana Sharir and Turiya Tattva, or you can take as Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, three states, and Ahankar when it is free, without going, when it is free of Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, meaning it is free of gross, subtle and causal, meaning it is free of waking, dream and deep sleep, Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, then this Ahankar if little bit of identification is there, then this Ahankar will go into Samadhi. If no identification is there, it will go beyond. It will transcend. So don't think that you have to go through Pashyanti, that you have to cross the barrier of deep sleep. No. Either you are in deep sleep or you are in Samadhi. You understand? You can't be, now I have transcended Vaikharima, now I go to Madhyama. Madhyama, after that I went to Pashyanti, meaning I have transcended waking, now I am in dream, I have purified, now I am in deep sleep. No, you don't have to purify deep sleep. There is nothing called deep sleep. How can you purify emptiness? How can you purify nothingness? Only one way. Before entering nothingness, know that you are. So you bypass the Pashyanti. You bypass the deep sleep state. You bypass the totality. Deep sleep state is the totality. Total Ananda. You bypass it. Because if you remain in Ananda, in the bliss, then the Vasana, it is a Vasanananda, which comes and goes. But you have to transcend that. Just like you get up, you go to sleep every night. Next morning when you get up, who are you? Who are you? The same one who went to sleep. Next morning you wake up to the same husband, the same children, the same house, the same body, isn't it? True or not? Same way. Totality means all gods. Brahmaji also. When he goes to sleep, when he wakes up, same body with four heads. Same job of creation. So we want to bypass the causal state. And the only way, if you don't bypass the causal state, you go to the totality. Ishwaratva. And the bypass. So gods, therefore, they cannot liberate. They are stuck in their position. Just like you are stuck in the position out of ignorance, they are also stuck. But not out of ignorance. They know. That is their job. But they don't know the self. Brahmaji can give you so much knowledge. But who is Narayana, he can never come to know. What is his source? Brahmaji can never come to know. So he has given him a name Narayana. He is in a cyclical life. We are also in a cyclical life. And only in the human plane we have a choice to bypass this cyclical. Only in human plane. For that the price we have to pay is that of vigilance, of alertness at the last thought. If you fall into sleep, you are back into the cyclical life. If you remain awake with identification with the body, you are still in the para and still in the cyclical life. But with knowledge, with understanding, you are able to abide in the self as the self, in spite of everything, not wanting a special disposition called meditation, not wanting to run away from the world, which is full of so much variety. Then we have bypassed that. Because who are we essentially? We are that transcendental and eminent principle. That is our nature. Then it will not be wrong to say even gods are because I am. Because if I am not there, for whom there is God? If I am not there, who is there to say there is Jeev Jagat Ishwar? Nobody is there. Because I am not there. No, but for the other people, then you are going the wrong way. Spiritual unfoldment is subjective, not generalized. We are talking about the self, the aham vritti, and going beyond aham vritti. Our goal is not, I will only go beyond aham vritti when everyone comes with me. Maro. But if aham vritti comes to, drops the vritti and the aham alone remains, then automatically, without thinking, without asking, without demanding, all thoughts get divinized. The presence of such a Mahatma is auspicious, isn't it? When the ignorance with its four ornaments, the four types of speeches manifesting as bondage or freedom, is totally rejected and transcended, the Jivatma Bhav is also dropped, is renounced. So, Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti is the bondage and Para is liberation. And we want to go beyond bondage and liberation. Got it? Now, some examples are given with regards to this. We'll look at it in our next class. And it's already time, 9:59. So enjoy. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम हरि ओम
हरि ओम स्वामी जी।
हरि ओम अम्मा
Hariom Swamiji.
Hari Om
हरि
Swamiji.
ओम हरि ओम
थैंक यू स्वामी जी।
हरि ओम
थैंक यू स्वामी जी।
हरि ओम लुमिना
Hariom Swamiji.
हरि ओम
हरि ओम स्वामी जी।
हरि ओम माते
Hariom Swamiji.
हरि ओम विनय चलो आई विल साइन आउट